Hey, everyone. Welcome to Unique Ways with Thomas Gerard, an audio podcast. We've got a really awesome guest today, and we've got this paragraph that describes him. This is where I step in. I'm Zaid. I connect the dots. I create and discover. I'm an architect. Please join me in welcoming Zaid Hisham. Welcome.
Hey Thomas, thanks for having me on.
My pleasure. You ready for 20 questions?
Uh, yeah, well, but first thing I want to say is that these are all great questions. And a second is before we start, I want to acknowledge you for having me on because we are going to change some lives today. This questionnaire, it shows that you value your listeners' time. So.
Great. Yeah, thanks so much. Okay, let's start then. Number one, tell me a little bit more about yourself. What do you do?
Mhm. So I work 9 to 5 as a UX designer. I do a lot of freelancing and consulting, but I'm fascinated with lifestyle design and entrepreneurship and coaching. So I combine all those in a live stream I do Sunday through Friday nights.
Nice. And just a note for our audience here, if you like the
Mhm.
UX design angles, please check out the episode with Dan Segal. I worked with him at Lenovo. We were both UX designers there many years ago. Okay, number two, what's a key piece of knowledge that makes you different?
Mhm. I think that through working on myself and observing and trying to emulate others in the hopes of solving my own personal problems, I've cracked the code on lifestyle design, and I think UX plus, direct response and performance coaching is really the gap or the answer to the gap that the 4 hour a work week created.
Nice, I love that. Okay, number three, why this of all things? Why do you do what you do?
When I was 18 years old, I wanted to be a psychologist. I've always been interested in how can I help people, and now that I do UX and I've also sort of delved into the world of coaching, what I want to do is save men time, money, and pain and heartache. And basically, I want to save men the time and heartache that I've spent trying to improve my life.
Nice, that sounds great. And do you do that through your own podcast? Is that right?
Yeah, so I just started a live stream that I'm gonna start, publishing as a podcast. Right now, it's just live streamed on LinkedIn, Facebook, and on YouTube.
Great. Okay, that sounds good. Maybe it ties well into number four, which some people struggle with actually. But the question is, what does your future look like?
Yeah, I fantasize about that a lot. So basically, in my future, I have a big house on a hill with a creative workshop where people fly in and come to me and they pay me tons of money to help them solve crazy business problems and launch dream projects and dream um, businesses.
That's awesome. Recently we had Chris Do on the show, who I think lives that life, the life that
Hmm.
many of us want. Um, number five, let's talk about location. How does the notion of place play into what you do?
Yeah, I'm from LA. And I moved to Oregon about 13 uh, years ago. When I moved here, I felt more at peace and I felt more welcomed and held by the amount of nature you get here. It's very easy to get disconnected to nature if you don't take steps to stay um, to stay in touch with it. So also, I recently joined the Transformational Travel Council to learn how to use place when I create design consulting and coaching um, uh, offers for my clients.
Nice. You know, we're recording on this side from Vancouver, Canada, which is not that
Mm.
far from Oregon, right?
Oh yeah. Oh
There,
yeah. Beautiful.
yeah, there's a great slow train that runs between Vancouver and Portland. Okay, number six. If you had to start from the beginning, what advice would you give your former younger self?
Hmm. That's actually easy, man. My advice is that your intuition is always right. So to trust yourself no matter what other people tell you. Um, Often we do what other people tell us to do because they're close to us, they're our parents, they're our teachers, and we want them to be pleased with us. But what happens is that we end up becoming people pleasers, right? And so I only just got out of that mode in the last last 10 years. So that's my advice is your intuition is always right. Like whatever it is that you want to do or learn, go and do that.
Nice. And what's a day in your life like?
A day in my life is pretty slow at this point. Mornings, I do a lot of intuitive writing and thinking out loud and talking out loud. And then after that, I have meetings and work. And then in the evenings, I spend hanging out with my kids. And then at night, I watch, like British crime shows with my wife. And then a late night is the live stream.
Perfect. Number eight, lifelong learning is a popular topic. How do you stay up to date?
I let people who I trust and who I think are smart and honest curate for me. So what I do is I read and subscribe to a few email lists, and I have like a daily sort of morning read of blogs. So for me, it's not necessarily about staying up to date as much as it is about um, analyzing and getting an understanding of what's going on like in the world. So I don't read a lot of books, but I read a lot of other people's takes on things.
Great. And what tools do you use? Are you both digital and analog?
Yeah, I'm about half and half. So I work mostly off-site. But outside of that, I do a lot of writing and journaling and diagramming, right? I use Otter AI a lot
Hmm.
for talking through problems out loud, right? And then since I love video and I like talking to people, I use Loom, which is a Chrome app, and so I can shoot out really short videos as opposed to typing out long emails. But my main tool, honestly, is like paper and pen, and a mind mapping app called MindNode. I use MindNode like most of the day.
Good stuff. And number 11, if you weren't doing what you do now, what would you be doing?
Um, I have a lot of different things that I'm into. If asking me that question now, my answer would be doing some type of massage therapy or some type of healing or counseling work or some type of body work.
And what would you not like to do with your career?
What I don't like is this term called make work, where the work isn't directly part of improving the customer's life, right? Or is work that's made up for the sake of justifying, design team budgets.
Great. And 13, what's your favorite word, quote, or sentence?
My favorite sentence. Yeah, so Stephen Pressfield in his book Do the Work, he repeats this concept. He says, fill in the blanks, then fill in the blanks between the blanks. And you can apply that to like all kinds of things. I've always had this like lifelong struggle with ADD and trouble focusing. And so I love that quote because it gets me back into action.
And how about a least favorite word, quote, or sentence?
Um, I couldn't think of any, but it's anything that indicates that the world is scary or scarce. So things like, so a quote like, you can't win uh, them all, right? So any quote that indicates, a negative mindset towards the world.
If you had to pick one word to describe yourself, what word would you choose?
Lion. I am a lion. So it indicates that I have no fear, that I'm powerful, and that I'm not bothered by the howls or by the barks of like dogs and other sort of animals, right? Because I'm the king of the jungle and indicates power.
What keeps you up at night?
What keeps me up at night is the prospect that the dreams that I have for myself, that honestly that I'll die before I make them happen.
And final stretch here, what's a dream you're chasing?
Mm. A dream I'm chasing is the dream of the, I guess, the small businessman, is to have a repeatable business model where I can make my own money and I can finally leave the world of jobs and working for other people.
That's great. It's kind of a tangent, but somewhat recently, I was at a talk by an architect in Vancouver named Omar Arabal, and he
Mhm.
had spent his whole life as an architect working for other people, or less, at least that's what he felt like. He felt like there was always a client he had to please, and that was the big thing he's always been trying to escape.
Mm.
Um, and then so 18, what inspires you?
What inspires me is people who I want to be like. So I'll give like one example. So there's a direct response copywriting guy who lives, actually he lives on the coast over here in Oregon, and his life is very easy. He has a big email list. He writes emails to his list all day, and by which he sells his paid print newsletter. So I like the idea. I'm inspired by anybody who has a super simple business that lets them that jives with their nervous system and how they want to live. Like people who've like really made that true sort of lifestyle business.
I like that. Okay, number 19, any advice you'd like to share?
Yeah, again, it's to trust your intuition. It's like do what that little voice inside you says, no matter how different it is from what you're doing now.
And number 20, the one everyone loves, how can our keep tabs on you? How do we follow you? What should we check out?
Yeah, the easiest way, honestly, LinkedIn is to just send a connection request on LinkedIn. That's the only place that I check every day. And you can go on there and you can ask me questions. If you want to book a call with me, that's you find the link to book a call with me there. So that's the main place that I'm focusing on to build my audience.
Nice, that's awesome. Well, thanks so much. This is super great because we don't know each other, but you just came through my feed and I was looking at your stuff and I was like, we've got to have this guy on the show. So I'm so glad that it worked out and thank you so much.
Cool, man. Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna hit you up because I would love to learn your model for how you line up and do these podcasts. Like how you get or how you find guests.
Absolutely, we should definitely do
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
Okay, thanks
All
so
right.
much.
Thanks, man.